If you had walked through the river valleys of the northern plains 200 years ago, in the dead of January, you could have passed within 20 feet of a warm family home and never known it was there. All you would have seen in the snow was a low, rounded mound of earth with dried grass bent over the top of it, and maybe a thin ribbon of smoke rising out of the middle. That was the whole show. But inside that mound, a family was sitting around one small fire in their shirt sleeves, telling stories while the wind outside was driving the cold down to 30 below zero. No furnace, no insulation from any store, no wood pile the size of a barn either, and that part should stop you, because a fire big enough to fight 30 below would eat a forest. What nobody passing by ever understood was that the warmth in that shelter did not come mainly from the fire at all. Our people had figured out something about the ground itself, and they built the whole home around it. Stay with me to the end, because the reason these shelters stayed warm all winter comes down to one specific thing the earth does once you dig past 3 feet. The same reason a root cellar never freezes, and nobody ever explains it plain. I will. I'm Wes Kingfisher. I'm 64 years old. I'm of Cherokee heritage, and I was raised by my grandmother Ada in the hills of eastern Oklahoma, where I still live today. My grandfather and my uncles taught me the woods, and 40 years on the powwow trail taught me the rest. From the northern plains to the desert, I have stood inside a rebuilt earth lodge up on the northern plains in the middle of winter, and I felt what I'm about to describe to you. The old ones never wrote this down, so listen close. Now think about what happens to a modern American house when a February ice storm takes the power lines down. Within a few hours, the temperature inside starts falling, and by the second night, folks are sleeping in their coats in the living room of a $200,000 home. Even when the power stays on, a lot of people are paying $400 a month, sometimes more, just to hold back the cold. That is a house that fights winter. The story you usually hear is that people back then simply suffered through it, huddled and freezing because they had nothing better. That story is wrong. Our people out on the plains, the Mandan and the Hidatsa along the upper Missouri River, and our people out in the high plateau country of the Northwest, they were not enduring winter. They had engineered their way around it with a shovel made from a buffalo shoulder blade and a knowledge of the ground that most builders today have lost. Their earth lodges held whole extended families in comfort. Their pit houses came through winters that would kill a modern tent camper in one night. And remember what I told you about the ground below 3 feet. Hold that thought through everything I'm about to show you, because every single choice they made starts from that one fact. And when we get there, all of it is going to click into place at once. Now, everything I'm walking you through today is one page out of a book I put together called The Native American Way, 101 Remedies, skills, and recipes that kept my people alive for 10,000 years. It is the knowledge my grandmother Ada and the elders of Indian country handed me around 1,000 fires, written down plain, step by step, before it's gone. The backyard plants the old ones used and exactly how they used them. The teas and salves from Ada's kitchen, the wild foods and when to gather them. Food preservation the old way, fire and shelter and water skills like the one you're learning right now, and the traditional recipes that fed the people through every winter. Set that against one trip down the pharmacy aisle or one stop at the sporting goods store, and the price makes itself look small. The book is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and the knowledge in it was 10,000 years in the testing. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, now pick up a shovel in your mind because the first decision the old builders made happened before anybody moved a single scoop of dirt. They chose the ground the way you'd choose a business partner. The builders looked for a gentle south-facing slope because the south-facing slope drinks up every hour of low winter sun. They wanted well-drained soil, sandy loam if they could get it, up above the river's flood line but close enough to water and to the tree line that gave them logs and a windbreak. And here is the why underneath it, because the old ones always knew why. Water is the enemy of a warm shelter. Wet ground pulls heat out of a body and a building faster than cold air ever will, and a pit dug in poorly drained soil becomes a cold soup bowl by March. Dry ground holds warmth, wet ground steals it. So the site came first, and they were patient about it. Then came the dig, and they went down 3 to 4 feet into the earth. That is 3 to 4 feet, not 1 foot, and later on you'll hear exactly why that depth is the whole secret. Out on the plains, an earth lodge floor might stretch 30 or 40 feet across, big enough for an extended family, their gear, and in the worst weather, even a favorite horse near the door. Every basket of dirt that came out of that hole was piled carefully beside the pit. Nothing was wasted because that same dirt was going right back on top as the roof. Take only what you need and use all of what you take. Inside the pit, they shaped the floor smooth, dug a fire pit at the very center, and cut sleeping benches into the earth walls around the edge, up off the coldest air near the floor. With the pit finished, the frame went up. 4 heavy center posts of cottonwood stood around the fire pit, tall as a man and half again. Beams connected those posts across the top. Then a ring of shorter posts circled the outside edge, and long rafters of straight logs leaned from the outer ring up to the center beams, leaving one opening at the very peak for smoke. Over those rafters they laid a thick mat of woven willow branches. Over the willow went a heavy layer of dried prairie grass. And over the grass went the dirt from the pit, packed down about a foot thick. Each layer had a job. The willow held everything up. The grass was the insulation, and it kept the dirt from sifting down into the soup. The earth on top was the mass, the great heavy blanket. And I promise we are getting close to the part about what the ground itself does, because that packed earth roof is half of the answer. Now, the hiding. That earth roof did something the builders got for free. Grass seed in the soil sprouted, and within a season, the whole lodge wore a living coat of prairie. From a distance, it read as a low hill. In winter, under snow, it disappeared entirely, which is exactly what you saw at the start of this story. A stranger or an enemy could ride within a stone's throw and see nothing but rolling ground and a wisp of smoke. The camouflage was never the main goal. It was the natural result of building with what the land gives you, and the land gives nothing away. But a buried room with a fire in it has a problem, and you're probably ahead of me. Smoke. Why didn't these families choke inside their own shelter? This is the detail that separates the real builders from the pretenders, so take it slow. The entrance was never just a hole. It was a low, covered tunnel, several feet long, and it faced east or south away from the hard north wind. A hide hung at the outer end, and just inside the lodge stood a woven willow screen, a windbreak, so no gust ever hit the fire directly. Cold, fresh air crept in low through that tunnel. The fire warmed that air, the warm air rose, and it carried the smoke straight up and out the smoke hole at the peak. One opening low, one opening high, and the fire itself runs the whole system like a quiet chimney. Steady draft in, steady smoke out. No choking, no gale across the floor. So let's gather that up in one breath. Dry south-facing ground, a pit 3 to 4 feet deep, a log frame under willow, grass, and a foot of earth, and a tunnel entrance feeding a smoke hole. That is the machine. Now here's what makes the machine run, because here's the part I planted at the very beginning. The reason a family sat comfortable at 30, below, with one small fire. Walk out to any old farmhouse root cellar in January and put your hand on a jar of my grandmother's green beans. It is not frozen. Walk in there in August and the cellar is cool. That is not a trick of the cellar. That is the earth. Up at the surface, the ground freezes and thaws with the weather, down to what builders call the frost line. But below about 3 feet, the earth stops caring what the sky is doing. Down there, it holds steady, right around 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit all year long, warmed from below by the planet itself. 50 to 55 degrees, winter and summer forever. So when our people dug their floor 3 to 4 feet down, they were not just hiding from the wind. They were moving the whole family inside the Earth's own steady temperature. On the coldest night of the year, that shelter started at 50 degrees before anyone struck a fire. The little fire and a dozen warm bodies only had to lift it 15 or 20 degrees more into real comfort. And those thick earth walls and that heavy roof soaked up the day's heat like a cast iron pot and gave it back slowly all night, so the banked coals at midnight were plenty. A tent fights the air. A house on top of the ground fights the air. The old ones skipped the fight and partnered with the ground instead. 10,000 years of testing. That's the guarantee on this one. And that is the kind of thing my grandmother's people handed down for free. And there are 101 more like it in the book, written out plain so they don't die with me. The Native American way is the remedies, the wild foods, the survival skills, and the kitchen, all in one place, each one taught with the why underneath it, the same way I taught you today. It is $17, down from $47, which is less than one tank of propane, for knowledge that kept whole nations warm and fed through 10,000 winters. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So now you know the whole of it. The dry slope, the 3 to 4 foot pit, the living roof, the tunnel, and the smoke hole, and the steady 50-degree earth that did most of the heating for free. Tell me in the comments where your people are from. And if there's native blood in your family line, like there is in so many American families, I'd be honored to hear the story. I read every single one. Next time, I'm going to show you the tea our people brewed from a tree that's probably standing in your yard right now. The same bark the modern world turned into a little white pill that sits in every medicine cabinet in America, and I'll show you exactly which tree and how the old ones prepared it. Wado, my friends, that means thank you. Walk easy, and I'll see you down the trail.